Welcome to my channel Limelight Leaks. Please share and subscribe and hit the bell icon for new updates. The world of hip-hop is no stranger to strange friendships, feuds, and all sorts of hidden agendas. But when it comes to the relationship between Diddy and French Montana, there's always been something off. On the surface, they seemed like the perfect industry power duo, both successful, both influential in their own right. They collaborated on tracks, appeared together at high-profile events, and partied like rock stars. But behind the scenes, there's something darker, something more mysterious, and it's been hinted at for years. From bizarre photos to cryptic comments and uncomfortable moments in interviews, the bond between Diddy and French Montana has been a topic of speculation for a long time. And let's be real, it's more than just the occasional awkward picture. There's been tension bubbling just under the surface, and with each passing year, it seems the truth is creeping closer to being revealed. Today, we're diving deep into this complex relationship to uncover the untold truths and expose the strange dynamics between these two moguls of the hip-hop industry. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Let's start with the photo that practically broke the internet, the one that made everyone stop and say, "Hold on, what am I looking at?" If you don't know the picture, it shows French Montana and Diddy in what can only be described as a very intimate and strange pose. There they were, standing side by side, tongues out, looking as if they were almost cuddling. Now you might be thinking, so what? It's just a goofy picture. But this was no ordinary snap. This was a picture that made even the 50 Cent of the world pause and ask questions. For those who don't know, 50 Cent is a master at calling out his peers, and he didn't hold back. When the picture surfaced, 50 reposted it, jokingly adding, "What in the finger world is going on in this picture, man? Something is not right." You've got to understand, 50 Cent doesn't post stuff like this without a reason. He's always been sharp with his words, and this particular picture made him question the nature of the relationship between Diddy and French Montana. Sure, we could chalk it up to a silly, drunken moment, but when you really start to analyze it, it raises far more questions than answers. What was going on in that moment? Why was this picture taken? And more importantly, why did it become a viral sensation? Things only got more interesting during French Montana's interview with Diddy and Wallow. Both of these men are known for their bluntness, and when they saw the picture of French and Diddy, they couldn't hold back either. Gilly's reaction was priceless. He laughed in disbelief, but there was something deeper in his laughter, a kind of discomfort that you couldn't ignore. In the interview, Gilly called out the awkwardness of the image, saying, "Ain't no grown man going to tell me this ain't wild." And he's right. When you look at the photo, you can't help but feel like something's just off. Why were these two men so close in that moment? Gilly went on to add his own layer of ridicule, saying, "French the big spoon, Diddy the little spoon." Now, let's take a moment to break this down. Big spoon and little spoon are terms used to describe a cuddling position, something that's typically reserved for very intimate relationships. So when Gilly said this, it wasn't just about the picture. It was about how close French and Diddy seemed to be, and the underlying inappropriateness of it. French, of course, laughed it off, but you could see that he was trying to brush it off as a joke. But jokes like this don't come out of nowhere. They have a foundation, and in this case, that foundation seemed to be the chemistry between the two men. A chemistry that's been questionable from the beginning. But what makes this even more intriguing is that Gilly wasn't the only one who had something to say about the photo. 50 Cent's reaction to Diddy and French Montana's photo. It wasn't just Gilly who had something to say. Enter 50 Cent, who, as we know, has been vocal about just about everything. When he saw the picture, he went public with his reaction. "What in the finger world is going on in this picture?" It was a sharp critique, a way of calling attention to the absurdity of the situation. Now let's talk about what 50 said in his post. He made it clear that something was off. He didn't just comment on the picture out of jest. He was making a statement about the relationship between Diddy and French Montana. There's no way around it. This was no simple misunderstanding. 50's comments were a clear challenge, an attempt to get to the root of a very strange dynamic between the two. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. 50 Cent and Diddy have had a long-running feud, but even he couldn't ignore the awkwardness between Diddy and French. It's a subtle power struggle, a game of who holds the real influence, and 50, ever the businessman, recognized the danger in what was happening. It wasn't just the awkward photo or the social media banter that raised questions. French Montana himself dropped some cryptic comments in interviews that suggested there was more to the story. During an interview with Diddy and Wallow, French was asked about a line from Nicki Minaj's song in which she mentions him directly. Get your ass quenched like French. At first, French tried to brush it off, saying, I don't know what she was talking about. But as Jilly pressed him further, French began to open up in ways that were both surprising and unsettling. He mentioned, almost absent-mindedly, we had a lot of wild nights in L.A. Now that's a phrase that doesn't exactly scream innocent fun. In fact, it felt like a slip-up. But more than that, it felt like a revelation, one that no one was prepared for. Why would French Montana talk about ass-quenching unless it was a term tied to something specific that had happened during those wild nights in L.A.? The raw, cryptic nature of the statement was impossible to ignore, and it left us wondering, was French Montana admitting something deeper, something more personal? Jilly, sharp as ever, picked up on this moment and didn't let it slide. When he asked, French, what was you thinking when you heard that line? French's answer was telling. He fumbled, trying to explain his way out of it, but the awkwardness of the moment spoke volumes. He said, I don't know, man. Wild nights. Ass-quenching nights. So why does all of this matter? Why should we care about the weirdness between Diddy and French Montana? It's not just about an awkward picture or a strange line in an interview. It's about power dynamics and industry control. Diddy is a mogul, a man who's built an empire from the ground up, and French Montana, though successful, has always been more of a follower in comparison. The relationship between these two has been ambiguous, and the way they interact with each other is telling of a larger pattern within the industry. Diddy's power in the industry has often been tied to his ability to control artists. It's no secret that his relationships with his artists can sometimes border on manipulative or exploitative, with many feeling that they've been held under his thumb. For French Montana, collaborating with Diddy seems like a gateway to success, but it's also left him vulnerable to a kind of industry puppetry. Moreover, the weirdness between these two men highlights a larger issue that's pervasive in the industry. The blurred lines between professional and personal relationships. In an environment where power, money, and fame reign supreme, it's not uncommon for relationships to become entangled in ways that make us uncomfortable. Diddy and French Montana's bond is a perfect example of this, where the personal and the professional blend in a way that raises eyebrows. The hip-hop industry, despite its glitz and glamour, is known for its dark side. Whether it's exploitation, questionable business dealings, or personal scandals, there's always something beneath the surface that we don't see. Diddy's history is one full of contradictions. He's the face of luxury and success, but his past is littered with rumors of abusive behavior, manipulative tactics, and shady dealings. For French Montana, his position in the industry has always been precarious, caught between the powerful influences of figures like Diddy and the ever-changing tides of the hip-hop world. Diddy and French's relationship isn't just another celebrity friendship gone wrong. It's a microcosm of the larger issues facing the industry. It's a reflection of how control is wielded, how power dynamics play out behind the scenes, and how the lines between loyalty and manipulation can get dangerously blurred. And when all is said and done, it leaves us with one question. What is the true nature of their relationship?